feel better on the weekend. Give my life a better meaning. Let me stay where I'm in phase. I feel better on the weekend. I feel better on the weekend. Give my life a better meaning. Let me stay where I'm in phase. I feel better on the weekend.
how's it going? Happy, what are we, Monday? No, we're not Monday. We're Wednesday. Feels like a Monday, I feel like, but halfway through the week. How's your week going so far? Saw that we have a bunch of people already in the chat, which is pretty awesome. The original plan for this was to go live on Twitter or X, whatever, YouTube, and LinkedIn, and ran into some technical difficulties. So I was trying to use a service to stream it all out to that stuff. And for some reason, I think my software that I normally use and that I was going to use to push the video feed, it doesn't like when I record it as well. So like when I record all the angles and everything, and I try to push it out to the stream. So it didn't initiate the YouTube stream, thankfully, because all I had to do was go change a few settings. But it just, yeah, it killed the other ones. So there was no way for me to like revitalize them or renew them to actually stream out to them. So whatever. So who do we have in the chat here? We have Hector. We have Sabina. Hey, Hector. Hey, Sabina. We have Yolanda Life Story. Okay. Hey, how's it going? Duber. Not sure if that's how you say it. Professor Chaos. Professor Chaos is doing some subnetting while he's waiting for, or he or she was waiting for the stream to start. That's pretty awesome. Deleted. Howdy. That's okay. That's a cool name. Zakir Khan. Hey, how's it going? M Flow. Hey, how's it going? So what are the rest of you up to? I know that Professor Chaos is doing subnetting. What is everybody else doing? Are you studying? Were you getting off work? Where are you in the world? Go ahead and in the chat, wanna hear where you're from. Where are you at? Are you in the United States? Are you in Europe? Are you in Africa? Where are you at? Australia? I'm not sure what time it is in all these places, but yeah. For me, it's the end of the workday, so work has ended, and kind of the beginning of the evening, so just kind of kicking things off. Let's see here. Sabina says, my week is a nightmare. I've been sick for a week, and the nurse I talked to doesn't know what's going on. I'm sorry to hear that. That is definitely not enjoyable. And I just threw the chat up there too, so everybody can see that, so that'll be good. But I hope you get better, whatever the issue is there. Zakir from Orlando, Florida. Okay, I've been to Orlando. It's let's see, we're kind of winter months, not too bad there, right? Once you start getting the summer, all that humidity and all that nastiness starts really taking its toll. So, but I used to go there like every year for spring break. So yeah, that area. Good day to you too, Justin. How's it going? Sabina in bed from Sweden. Okay, it's 2 a.m. for you. Wow. Okay, so you're just hanging out, probably trying to go to sleep, right? trying to get a little bit tired. So deleted from the Eastern United States. Awesome. Okay, so a couple hours ahead of me. So about 7:38, right? Something like that. Duber is studying for your CISA cert in Pensacola, Florida. Okay, I've never been to Pensacola, but like I said, I've been to like Orlando area. That's pretty much the only place I've been in Florida is like that Orlando area. So Mflo just got off work. Okay, yeah, taking a break before studying for Sec Plus. Hello from Arizona. Hey, me too. So definitely a fellow Arizonan. So Sec Plus, that is yeah. I'm excited for you. That's an exciting time when you're starting to study for the Security Plus. I definitely remember that like time period when I was doing that, and yeah, I'm excited for you. See, Justin's studying for Sec Plus in Australia. Okay, cool. What time is it in Australia right now? I'm curious. Never been to Australia, but I've heard great things. So, see, Burgess is from Baltimore. Hello, hello, hello. I'm trying to think if I've ever been to Baltimore. I don't think I have. I don't think I've even been to Maryland, right? So but I've been to like the DC area, so I guess that's like, everybody seems to consider that like one area. So, is this a security ops quiz? Like, don't ever say where you are on the internet. I mean, you can go to people's LinkedIn's and stuff, and you can see where they're at, right? So, good evening from Montreal. Okay. Never been to Montreal. I have been to Canada, but never to Montreal. And I've heard really good things about Montreal as well. So, but it is cold right now, so I don't particularly want to go to Canada. So, need to visit the best beaches in town, says Duer. Okay. Yeah, I mean, the beaches are always fun, right? California, Florida, East Coast, West Coast, whatever, right? Like all the beaches. Yolanda's from Maryland, just got out of school, taking the IC3GS6 class. Okay, cool. Mir, is that how you say your name? Mir Alva? Hello from Orlando. Another Orlando person, right? We have a lot of Florida people in here. Sabina says, in 22 minutes, I've been overthinking the whole night. Also, this is my mother's account, and my name is Sophia. Okay, well, hello, Sophia. Yeah, I hope you feel better. Let's see here. What else? Kyle says, grew up in Prescott. Okay. Yeah, I've never actually been to Prescott. I've been to Flagstaff, right? But I've never been to Prescott. I still have, I feel like, a lot of places to explore around the country, even the state, whatever, like all over, right? There are so many different places to go to. Currently studying for Sec Plus as Burgess. Cool. Justin says it is 11:40 a.m. Okay, so in Australia, right? So, yeah. Whew. So you're just kind of starting your day early on, probably haven't ate lunch. Maybe you're on your lunch break. So that's awesome. Yeah, I've never been to Australia either, but I've heard really good things about that too. A lot of places I've heard good things about, right? Australia, in that area, Australia, New Zealand. Yeah, I've heard good things. I've seen a lot of like videos and stuff just of people traveling over there and checking out different things. And it seems cool. I would love to visit sometime. So, but yeah. So thank you everybody for stopping by here, for joining the stream. Really as part of this, the idea of this stream is really to just get on here, do a Q&A. Typically with Q&As, I talk about things like careers, so career advice, resume questions, certification questions, really anything like that that you want to ask and you want to talk about. Definitely feel free to ask the questions, and we will definitely discuss those. Let me also get my chat thing up here. Let's see here. Okay, hold on one second here. I updated my my software, so it has me have to redo some things to get this set up. So hold on one second. All right, there we go. Let me kind of balance my screen here because I have a lot of windows going on here. Let's see. All right, there we go. Whew. Live streaming is not easy. There's so many more pieces than actually like recording a video, because I have to think about the chat. I have to think about all the windows that are showing. There's so much to it. And like I said, I just updated my software that I use for all this stuff. And so there were some new features that I really wanted, and that changed some stuff. And so I had to reconfigure things, relog into things, like all that kind of stuff. So that's just how it is. All right. Also, too, something that I want to talk about is that in this stream, we're going to also have the secret codes. So for the giveaway, if you haven't been tracking that, for Cyber Training Pro, there's some giveaways for things like coaching and just some other stuff that we're doing a giveaway for. And it has about, I think it's about a week left. Yeah, it ends on the 31st. So if you haven't seen that video or know about that, go check out the video, go check out the post. There's a link and all the information that you need. There's some different things you have to do to enter. And then there's some different tasks where you can increase your chances of winning too. So we're gonna give out the codes in this stream for that too. So you'll either have to watch the stream or you'll have to come back and find where they're at in the stream, and you'll be able to use those as well. So when I'm going to give those out, I will specifically say how I'm going to give them out, or how you get it, and so you'll just have to look for that at that point. So I'm not going to announce it before I do it, but you'll find out. So let's see here. Okay, let's go ahead and start putting up some of these questions here. If they go up here, let's see here. Yeah, this is another thing. Hold on a second. We got to reconfigure this. There we go. Got it. Got it. The software I use is so complex. It can do so many things, but when you go to like real software for streaming and stuff, it gets so much more complicated. So anyways, we got it. So first question, is CCNA good for getting an entry-level job? Great question, right? It depends a lot, I would say, on the type of job that you're looking for. Okay, when we look at the skills and the knowledge that everybody needs to have for this career field, for a tech career field, those kinds of things. There's things like operating systems, networking, all those kinds of things, right? When we look specifically at like the IT route, so if you were going to go into an IT role, so even network administrator, system administrator, like those kinds of things, the CCNA has so much power and notoriety in that realm, right? Like managers love it. They want to see it. A lot of times you will deal with Cisco gear, right? Not always, but in that area, it's a very good certification to have. Now, with that being said, if you're talking about cybersecurity, typically, I do not recommend the CCNA if you're going directly into cybersecurity. Like if you know you're going cybersecurity, it's typically not the best path, because it's going to, for one, be more difficult, right? You're going to have to learn the Cisco command line. You're going to have to, it's just a more difficult certification. If you, there's a lot of overlap between the two, right? So in the Network Plus, I guess is the comparison, right? Like that would be what I would, as far as the other one. So typically, if you know you're going cybersecurity, I say get the Network Plus, because that will teach you the fundamentals of networking, how they work, what a switch does, what a router does, subnetting, like all that stuff, right? You're going to get the core networking aspects. You just won't get the Cisco specific aspects. In cybersecurity, almost all the cybersecurity jobs, you're not going to need to know those Cisco specific things, right? So it's going to make it more complex or more difficult in that path if you go for it than if you go for like the Network Plus instead. Now, that's not saying that CCNA is going to hurt you, right? Of course not. But it is going to be a little bit more difficult path to do that. So typically, when I'm talking about certifications in general, one of the best things that you can do is go to a job board like Indeed or LinkedIn and actually search for the type of job that you want. You can also search for certifications too, like CCNA or Network Plus and stuff like that, right? But especially the job that you're going after, that's usually a good indicator of what kind of certification you should have. But also too, like traditional networking and stuff, again, it depends so much on your objectives and like what you're trying to do, right? Because I can come up with scenarios that will go both ways. But if we're just talking about like in general, if you're going IT, yes. If you're going cybersecurity, there's better paths to do that. So I would also check out my free ebook. So the link is in the description, but that gives you a roadmap if you're thinking about cybersecurity. And honestly, it will cover a lot of the things you need to know for IT as well. Like it's not just cybersecurity specific, but it is focused on somebody going that path. So let's see here. All right. So good question. Good question. All right, let's pull up this next question here. So how important is having the various contractual projects on your resume? So what do you mean by various contractual projects? Having projects on your resume is a good thing, and it's always a good idea to have that. But I'm not sure exactly what you mean by contractual projects. Like, do you mean you were a contractor and you worked on specific projects at companies, or like what do you mean more specifically about that? Let me know. Cut this question off here. Okay, this is a long one. So it says, I passed my Security Plus. I have a degree in data science. I worked 3 years at university level. Now I'm transitioning into cybersecurity, but it's been hard to get interviews. How do you get that first job? Yeah, so getting the first job is always the most difficult thing, right? Because once you start getting experience, it becomes easier. You know the language, how to speak it, like the cybersecurity language. You know what people are looking for. You're just more aware, and you have that experience to back it up. So the first job, it's hard for everybody, right? Not just you. Worked 3 years at university level. So 3 years for your degree, or maybe clarify on that specifically, or 3 years in data science. The thing is, like data science and stuff, there is a relationship into cybersecurity. Like we deal with a lot with data and trying to correlate data and looking for trends and all those kinds of things. But at the entry level, especially if you're looking at a specific cybersecurity job, that's not going to have a ton of correlation to that role specifically. It'd be more like probably like a higher level job than that, especially like not the entry level, maybe like a senior level, or somebody that's looking at configuring alerting and stuff, right? But if you're so just with the Security Plus alone, the Security Plus alone is not enough to qualify you for most jobs, right? Typically, the Security Plus, just that, right? You're going to have some knowledge, but you're not going to have enough to really complete your profile, your presence as like an entry level professional. The first thing that I would do is grab my free ebook because, again, I mentioned this earlier, but I have a roadmap in there that literally walks you step by step on the certifications and the skills that you should get to build that foundation. Because without that foundation, you won't know enough to fulfill that role. A lot of times in cybersecurity, you're expected to kind of to do the job, right? Like it's not like in a lot of departments and teams, there's not a lot of hand holding necessarily, right? There's onboarding and stuff like that, but you're expected to come in and have a decent understanding of how technology works and be able to kind of research and kind of figure some of this stuff out. So that's why you see a lot of times too, entry level people have more than the Security Plus, because you need to show that you know networks. You need to show that you understand operating systems. Like there are these core tenets of things that you need to show, right? So look at the ebook. Again, that will help you as far as identifying what you need to learn. The other thing that goes into that is doing things that make you stand out. So doing projects, trying to network with people, going to these association groups and their local meetup events. So ISACA, OWASP, IEEE, whatever, right? Like there's all these different groups. Go to their meetings and meet people within the industry. That can help you too, just knowing people and getting referrals. The other thing, of course, is building your skills. Your resume comes into play, right? Because you have to be able to sell your skills and what you bring to the table to get a job. If you can't do that effectively, then you're definitely not going to get an interview because they're just not going to understand what you bring to the table. So again, I have videos on a lot of this stuff, so resumes and projects to do and certain skills that you need and all that kind of stuff. So, but I would start with the ebook because that's gonna frame it in a way that makes sense on how to progress from where you're at. So let's see here. So I do not do these Q&As every Wednesday. I am looking at ways to possibly do more live streams or more engagement things. I'm always doing stuff, right? Like I have giveaways, I have live streams, doing stuff on LinkedIn, I go on other people's channels, all kinds of stuff. But I am looking at ways to do some more stuff like this. It's always hard with like the live streams because one of the reasons why videos are great is because videos, I can make them whenever, right? Like there's no set time that I have to make a video. I can make it whenever. I can make it at 2 a.m, right? It doesn't matter. Because all I have to do is make the video, I edit it, and I put it up. With live streams, I have to plan it. I have to, commit to a certain time. And that's maybe the hard part, right? Because especially like with engagement from like everybody in the community, it's like the ideal situation for a live stream is getting a bunch of people on the stream, right? Like participating, chatting, asking questions, going back and forth, like those kinds of things. And even like on this stream, we have people that are in Australia, we have people that are in all over the United States, right? Like all these different locations, and picking a time that works for the most amount of people is so difficult, so difficult. So that's why it's always a challenge for sure. So, and I feel like YouTube doesn't always like live streams. So, there's that. All right, what's the possibility of getting a job through the Google certificate online? So, if you haven't seen my review of the Google certificate program, definitely check it out because that will give you some insight on how I feel and what I think about that certificate. But, I would say that I don't want to give too much away from the video, so definitely go check out the video. But it does not do a good enough job, in my opinion, to prepare somebody professionally for a job, right? There is more that you will need that is correct for your level of skill that you need to get ready for a job, right? Like it will give you some good information, but it does not deliver on what I believe they are making the promise to be, right? And especially like all these sponsored videos and stuff that you see, they hype it up, but I don't agree with a lot of the things that they're saying. And you can watch the video and I go through and say exactly what I feel about the content of it, the structure of it, like all that stuff. Because I think it is reasonable for you to expect that kind of transparency. And I'm going to give it to you. A lot of other people are not giving it to you, including the producers of the course. I don't want to mention them because I don't want to get in trouble. but just saying. Like I feel like my review is pretty is unbiased. We'll put it that way, right? I think it's pretty fair. All right. So how do you get into the government contracting space? So that's a good question. So, it depends, right? Because you look at all the companies that are out there, and a ton of companies are technically government contractors, right? I know a lot of times when people think about government contractors, they think about like military contractors, defense contractors, things like that, but that's not all of them, right? Like there's a ton of government contractors that are out there, and they all have cybersecurity needs typically. So, there's a lot of companies out there. Specifically, you can just go and search for companies that are government contractors and find jobs with those companies. There's not really anything too different about that aspect. Just looking for those jobs. Now, if you want to target like government military contractors and things like that, where it's like more specific, then typically you're going to have to get a clearance, which means you can join the military because that is a good way to get a clearance. You can also find jobs that are saying they're willing to sponsor you, or candidate must be willing to obtain a clearance, verbiage like that. And then that means that they'll put you through the process. And then you have to get the clearance. You have to be cleared, approved, all that kind of stuff. And then you can be in that game and just maintain that clearance and work at those kind of companies. That's probably the more difficult path. The military is probably like the more surefire way to get the clearance. But then you've got to join the military, right? So you have to weigh those if you really want to be in that space. But it's not mandatory, right? Not all the government contracting jobs require clearances. But also, too, you're going to have to satisfy like the DoD 8570. So you're going to need to get something like the Security Plus. And there's all kinds of different names for it, 8140. Like there's all these different mandate names. But basically, you're going to have to get something like the Security Plus in order to get into that space, because they're going to require it. Even if you have the clearance, that doesn't remove that requirement. So Let's see, how long have we been live for? A while. Whew. All right, let's do this. Let's do this. All right, so let me pull down that. So if you guys are ready, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put the first code into the chat for the giveaway. So again, this is for the giveaway with Cyber Training Pro, giving away coaching and discounts and all kinds of stuff. So I'm gonna put the first code in there. This is the secret code that you can use to get additional entries. And it is in the chat right now. So you can use that, write it down, save it, you can use it later. And yeah, you'll be able to use that to enter. So if you missed it, go ahead and check out the chat. I just put it in there. It's on the screen. And yeah, you can use that to enter, get some extra entries. Let's do this. I want to turn on the other set here real quick and switch over to there. So give me 1 second here.
Try to be brave. You have so much to save. Take control of your own life. Right now, every mistake makes you feel like a fake. Take control of your own life.
All right, we're back. And let me just make sure that my audio is on. Okay, can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. Looks like my audio is on. Looks like my audio is on. Scoot over a little bit here. Okay. Now I'm on this other side here. So a little bit different doing it on this computer here. So if you're unable to view the code, it's in the chat and it's on the screen. So you'll have to just go back and look at the stream. It is 100% there. I can see it. I can see it on my secondary screen. So it's definitely there. So you'll have to just look in the chat It's the only message that I've put in the chat in there. Yep. Okay, cool. Yeah, so sometimes there's a delay too, which is kind of the other weird thing. So like if I, like I have all these different screens with different stuff on it. So it's, yeah, but should be good now. So, oh, where do you go to enter it? So some of this is like lagging too, as far as like my chat messages. But so go to, you'll have to look back at the videos that I've posted, or go to LinkedIn, and I posted a video talking about the giveaway, and it literally in the description, it has a link to the giveaway. The other way that you can do it too is if you go to cybertrainingpro.com, then there's also a link on there for giveaways. It is, let's see here. Pretty sure I put it on there. Let's see here. Is it visible? Oh, nope, it's not visible. So we have it, we have it hidden. So you have to go to the video, and you'll have to look for that link. It's right in the description though, and you'll be able to enter that. And you just follow the instructions that are right on there, and it will ask for like email, and then you can enter. And then there's all these different ways that you can get more entries by, for instance, using the code. There's some that you have to do, and then you unlock it for the code, and then you'll be able to enter that in, and it'll give you more entries. So how long is the code good for? So the giveaway, it ends on the 31st. So, and the instructions are right on there too in that video and in the post and everything. So that'll tell you, but basically it's the end of the 31st. And then after that, we'll do the giveaway, we'll do the drawing, and we'll select the winners. So obviously not everybody's gonna win, but hopefully, you know, you're able to win. And that's the point of these codes too, is because these codes will give you extra entries and give you more of a chance. It's just like the lottery, right? The more tickets you have, the better chance you have. So, all right, so let's get back to some of these questions here. And by the way, how do you guys like this? If you caught the test stream that I did, I think it was about 3 weeks ago or something like that, I did a test kind of showing off this other angle, this new set, as well as just some different things, right? Like this, and the chat on the screen and everything. So I like it. I think it's pretty cool, and makes it a little bit more engaging, more enjoyable to look at than just like a blank wall or something. So, all right, let's see here. Let me scroll back a little bit here, because I know some of these questions were not answered because we were trying to switch over here. All right, so when it comes to cloud security, what is the most, what is it most you should focus on? So skill. All right, so for cloud, you know, automation is so important with cloud. I cannot stress that enough. One of the major advantages with cloud is being able to automate all this stuff. So if you build up those coding skills and those programming skills, you're going to be dramatically more valuable in a coding environment or in a cloud environment than if you didn't have that. Now that's assuming that you're in a more technical role, because the more technical roles in cloud, coding for sure. But then you also have to understand the cloud provider, what they have as far as like services and offerings, how to secure the things. So it's like those two main things where you're understanding the provider. So like if we're talking about like AWS, you're understanding all these different services that you can use and how you secure those. Now it's just basically cloud is like somebody else's data center, right? So you still have to understand operating systems and things like that and some of those core tenets of information. But then it's a lot about automating. How do you automate it? Can you automate it? Are you able to use infrastructure as code, right? Like those are literally the extremely important things for cloud. Let's put this one up here. This is a pretty good one. And this applies to a lot of different questions. So if you were to hire a SOC analyst, what skills would make you more interested in hiring someone with no experience? So I've definitely made videos on this specifically for cybersecurity, like what are the most in-demand skills, things like that. So there's all kinds of different skills, and I would definitely go watch those videos so you see those. But you know, one of the best things that you can do as an entry-level professional, this is IT, this is cybersecurity, it really doesn't matter, right? Like all of these different things, you might approach them a little bit differently, but all of these different areas, how do you stand out from everybody else? Now I say that because when we look at all the different candidates that are out there, right? A lot of candidates tend to start to look the same. You know, if you follow the same roadmap, the same path, and you do everything the exact same, you're going to, on paper, you're going to look the same. So what else are you doing besides that? Because there are core skills and knowledge that you have to get, right? Like that's just, you have to do it. So you have to understand networking. You have to understand operating systems. Like those are the core things, right? But then what extra are you doing? Are you doing projects? Okay, well, projects start to be an extra thing that shows your continuing interest and motivation to really learn, to get into the field. Are you networking with people? Are you growing that network? You know, the technical skills, I'll put it this way. So if things are easier, right, they take less effort or they're just more defined, so that means learning the skills, getting the certifications, right? Kind of those standard things. The more standard that you're doing, the things that you're doing, the more you're going to look like other people, right? Like it's consistent. It will just match other people. The more effort that you have to put into things, so if that is building your presence on like LinkedIn, right? That's just an example of something you can do. Building a YouTube channel, right? Where you do all kinds of like walkthroughs and stuff. Those things take significantly more work to do. And especially if you're doing that plus the other stuff, that's going to make you stand out. Today in the competitive landscape for getting jobs and getting employed, standing out is very important, right? Like that is even more important in some cases than how many skills you have, because you stand out and you bring other things to the table. Employers are looking for diverse skill sets, diverse ways of thinking, diverse, just staff, right? And so that goes, for a lot of aspects. And so if you're just doing the same thing that everybody is doing and you're creating kind of this cookie cutter professional, then you're just not going to stand out. And that's going to be the downfall, most likely, of your professional approach, we'll say. So that's really what I would say, especially as like an entry-level person. You're not going to have the experience to rely on, so you're not going to have that part, which a lot of times that can create diversity in what you bring to the table. But it's just about doing something different. Like, what can you do different than person A? What can you do different than person B, right? And start to stand out in that sense. Not enough people look at it in that way, and they're like, okay, I'm going to try to get all the certifications. Well, guess what? A lot of people are trying to get all the certifications, and then you guys are just going to look the same, and then how does an employer tell the difference? All right, let's keep scrolling through here. This is a good question right here. Okay, so when writing your resume, should you be listing all the software that you've worked with? So things like CrowdStrike, Firepower, and so on. So one of the things with listing software or listing skills, resume on your resume, certifications on your resume, those kinds of things, anything you put on there is fair game. Okay, so if you put CrowdStrike on there, if you put Firepower on there, how proficient are you in that, and how clearly can you articulate the things that you know about that? Okay, think about that for a second. So that means that how, from a professional level, how proficient are you with that tool? How good are you with that tool? How much do you really know? One of the things that people fall into the habit of and the trap of is that, oh, I learned skill XYZ or tool XYZ, and I'm just going to stuff it on my resume. I'm going to keep throwing all these things on my resume. Well, that, for one, doesn't look good because you probably don't know that stuff enough to have those on your resume. And so the more of those that you have on your resume, the worse it looks, because it's like, okay, let's say you have 10 tools on your resume, right? Ask you about tool 1. You're like, well, I kind of know it, whatever. Okay, what about tool 2? Well, I kind of know it. I know a little bit. I played with it once in the lab. Okay, what about tool 3? Well, I ran a command once with it. You see where I'm going with this? It's like you've listed so many things on there that it's like, well, you really don't know these hardly at all. Now, if you have, let's say, 2 tools on there, right? And you're like, well, I don't know it like at an expert level, but I've done these things with it, and so I kind of understand it. That looks better than having a whole bunch of tools or technologies where you know next to nothing about them. Okay, so it's definitely not about quantity, it's about quality. And certainly if you have quantity and quality, that's good too, right? Like that's better. But being able to explain things at a deeper level, or not having just having your resume look like you just stuffed a bunch of things on there is better, for sure. Let's see here. I'm just scrolling through the questions here and looking. So this up there, because there was a question similar to this as well. So I just stumbled across your account and I'm graduating high school in the next couple months. What path should I take for education and eventually, let's see, what was it? I think it was eventually getting a job. Eventually landing a job, yeah. So the first thing that I'll tell you is that you should definitely grab my ebook, because I've put a roadmap in there. The link is in the description. You can go download it for free. But that will give you a roadmap of the skills and certifications that would be expected of you to get in the career field, right? So it's going to lay it out as far as what you need to know. Now, are you going for a degree? I guess we don't really know that, because that will impact the decision. Because if you go for a degree, some of that path is going to slow down. That's still the stuff that you should learn, but you're going to have coursework and other stuff that you have to do. So you're just not going to have as much time and energy to do that stuff, right? That's not to say that degrees are required in this career field, because they're not. There are advantages, certainly, and cons, certainly, for getting a degree or getting that education. But I would at least start with that roadmap, because that will tell you, kind of exactly what you need to know, right? Again, I don't really want to get into like degree versus not degree, what's the value in degrees, because I have videos and stuff all talking about that, and the ebook will talk about that too. But regardless of the path that you go, it's at least about getting the knowledge and skills that are absolutely required, and then other stuff is kind of it's kind of icing on the cake, right? Like it's extra stuff that you can benefit from. That's a good comment on here from Eddie too. So myself being in IT security related roles for the last few years, I think the most confusing part for any newcomer is understanding the career path that are available in the cybersecurity field. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of confusing information out there. There's a lot of contradictory information out there. And I think some of that is because the career field itself is relatively new still, right? Like it's still emerging. And so we're seeing different stuff kind of come up from that. But, that's why I create content. That's why I put resources out there for people so that they can have information that they can actually rely on, and that is, based on facts, based on experience, based on other people's experiences, right? But yeah, I mean, it's confusing. There's definitely a lot more information now than there was when I started. When I started, there was like YouTube, like creators for cybersecurity. No, like didn't exist, right? But we do have more now. But again, a lot of the information that is out there, there's a lot of information out there. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. I always recommend my stuff because I am thinking about my journey and the experience of the people that I'm coaching. And, there's certainly people out there that I wouldn't recommend their advice. But then there's also people that, that I'm friends with that create content that are on YouTube, that are on other platforms that have great advice as well, and that have gone through paths and learned a lot that they are able to share with people too. So it's, and there's people that don't even create content that have great information as well, right? That have great insight as far as like what you should do too. So yeah, it's sifting through the information or sorting through the information and finding out what is accurate and what is inaccurate is kind of a challenge on its own these days. So let's see here. All right, so let's go back to the main set here, and I'll be back in 1 second here. All right, let me switch my mic back here. All right, that should be good. Cool. All right, I wish this, my question tracker, I wish it like stayed current to where I was, because it like doesn't show me the other ones. Like on the other screen, as I was going through them, it would show them and like take them off the screen. But now it just shows them as one list here. So give me a second. Let me look through these. and make sure we get back to where we're at. All right, so what are some entry-level remote IT jobs that you can get with no experience? Good question. So, it's going to vary, right? It's going to vary by the company, by the team. A lot of teams, right, get to decide if they allow people to work remote, even if that's just like hybrid, maybe like 1 day a week or a couple days a week. That landscape has changed some since the last couple of years. But honestly, a lot of tech roles, like IT roles and cybersecurity roles, were not remote before, right? That's kind of a newer thing where some companies are allowing that. And it's gonna vary. Some companies will be all remote, right? And you don't have to go in an office at all. Entry level, I'll caveat with this, you are probably better off at least being hybrid than full-time remote, okay? And that's because you need to learn things still, and it is much more difficult to learn things as a brand new professional in a remote environment where you're working at home, where maybe you get distracted, like do all kinds of other things, than being in an office where, yeah, maybe you sometimes get distracted, but then you also kind of have that pressure of being watched, where it's like, okay, I can't just like completely not do anything. I have to like do my job. But then you also have people that you can learn from. You get a call on the phone, you can put it on mute. You can literally turn to the person to your right or left and be like, hey, I have this question, this problem, whatever, right? So it's, it's a double-edged sword. But there are remote like support jobs, there's remote system administrator jobs, there's remote cybersecurity jobs. But it is going to come down to the company, especially the industry too. Like the defense industry, you're probably not going to be remote, right? Most of those jobs are on site. And that's just because of the function of that company. A tech company, you might be remote, right? You might just be administering like Active Directory or something. Okay, yeah, that could be a remote job. So it's just going to depend. But yeah, with no experience and being an entry level, in my opinion, you are better off being at least in a hybrid role, not in a full-time remote job. There's just too many downsides to being full-time remote for your first job, right? You need that guidance and that mentorship that only is going to happen, or at least to the level that you probably need if you're at least in a hybrid or full-time on-site job. So work a couple years, try to get some of that experience and learn a lot, then start looking remote. That would be my advice to you, but you can kind of do what you want, right? With the necessary skill set, how do you get the attention of a hiring manager? And my chat came off. I switched the wrong one. There we go. Okay, so with the necessary skill set, how do you get the attention of a hiring manager? So I kind of talked about this earlier, but think about level of effort of the things you're doing. Okay, the more structured things are, certification programs, training programs, education, whatever, right? The more similar you're likely to look like other people, at least on paper. So do the things that are going to take more effort, those are going to make you stand out, right? Effort will always make you stand out, because if something takes more effort, YouTube channel, right, takes way more effort than just going to get a certification. Like, especially if it's like successful or you're doing it over like a year, 2-3 years, something like that. That takes tremendously more amount of work than getting a certification. And it shows your continued interest in the career field. Those are the kind of things that are going to make you stand out so much more than just getting a certification or just doing kind of like the minimum, right? A lot of people know a lot of skills, have a lot of knowledge, but they don't they don't go beyond that, right? They don't stand out. They don't do things that are going to make them really stand out. Can't stress that enough. The more that you can do to stand out, the better off you are. It just, I am telling you, that is huge. You'd be surprised the interviews that I've had where I've been asked about my YouTube channel and like the content that I make and all those kinds of things, right? That gets your name out there. And that's just one example though, right? Create projects, write documentation for open source projects, volunteer at like nonprofit groups. You know, there are so many different things that you can do that are not, you know, it's not just create a YouTube channel. There's all kinds of stuff you can do. All right, we've been going for like an hour now. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the last code in the chat here. So there are 2 codes. So this is the second code. So it should be on the screen now so you can see that. And again, just like the other one, go to the giveaway video and that will direct you to where you need to go in order to enter. That goes until the 31st, and all that's described in the video, in the post, and that will show you exactly what you need to do, when we're going to draw, all those kinds of things. And then of course keep tracking me on YouTube, because the drawings are going to be posted on YouTube, and we'll get that out that way. But also we'll contact you directly. But all that's again detailed in the giveaway. So. Let's see here. And because of the delay of the chat and everything, you may have to go back or forward, right, to find the, well, you won't have to go forward, but you'll probably have to go back slightly maybe to get the code. But it will be in the chat, so it'll be on the side of the screen. Yeah, I wanted to do IT, then transition to cybersecurity, GRC and cybersecurity. Yeah, so GRC is, you know, one of those areas where it is just booming, right? There's all these new regulations and everything that are popping up, and GRC is a big space right now, right? There's a lot of demand for skilled GRC professionals to track all this stuff, make sure things are compliant, to do all the things, right? And it's a great space to be in. And honestly, like, the money is basically the same across all these different areas, especially as you get to the higher levels. So I know that, you know, before, right, GRC tended to be on the lower end of the pay scales. That's changed, right? Like, things are starting to really balance out between a lot of these different areas. So it's really just a matter of which one do you want to work in? What are you good at? What jobs are open, right? What certifications do you have? Like, all those kinds of things, right, to qualify you for those jobs. And yeah, then you just get the job and you work the job that you want. So, but yeah, GRC is a good area for sure to get into. So. All right. How long have we been going for? Hour and 13 minutes. Wow. That's a lot. So anyways, I think we're going to wrap it up there. That's been probably a little bit longer than I planned on us doing, but that's about an hour, right? So again, if you join the stream late and you miss the codes, you'll have to go back and look for them, because they are in the chat, so you'll see them on the side of the screen, and you'll be able to pull them out from there. For the giveaway, again, for Cyber Training Pro, you'll have to go back and find my video. It's recently released, the video where I talk all about it. There's also a post on LinkedIn, on the Cyber Training Pro page, and my personal LinkedIn page, so you can check out that as far as how to enter. And Again, we're giving away coaching and discounts on training and a bunch of stuff, right? Bunch of people are going to win. So it's very exciting. And really, the purpose of this stream was to get on here, do some questions and answers, talk to you guys, interact with you, and then also give away the codes, right? So get you some more entries there for the stream. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up for tonight. But I want to thank you for joining me, and I will see you in the next one.